in the pooled properties, somewhere in the least pooled areas, then that counts as production for everywhere. Does that make sense? Do you want me to draw it?
No, no, no. I understand. So what you're saying is, let me draw this and see if I'm understanding.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Remember, there are limits to pooling as well.
Let me draw this first. So you got track 1, 2. Do they have to be adjacent to each other?
I think they need to connect somehow, is my understanding.
Yeah, that would make sense. Okay. So um, ABC. ABC is going to have leases with all these owners, right?
Yeah.
And each lease is going to have a pooling clause, right?
Yeah.
That says this.
They're pooled. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what you're saying is, if ABC gets production here,
Mhm.
production paying quantities,
Yeah.
that holds the lease for all these.
Yeah.
3 can't come and say, hey, well, you don't have production paying quantities on my land.
Mhm.
If he does, ABC is going to say, well, hey, there's a pooling provision in your lease, and I pooled your minerals with all these other minerals.
Yeah. Do you know how to calculate it? Like, it might be a lease for total pooled 1/8, and then like 3 might have 1/5. It's like 1/8 times 1/5.
Well, so if this is, let's say this is 100 acres,
Right.
and 4 owns 50, 2 owns 20, 50, 80, 50. So, and there's a 1/8 royalty, you said?
Mhm.
So they're going to get their proportionate share of the royalty. Is that what you're saying? So like 4 is going to get 1/2 of 1/8.
Right. Or whatever they've negotiated.
So, because here's where I'm confused. All 4 of these people have negotiated different leases, right? So if 4 negotiated a 1/8, he negotiated a 1/16, he negotiated a 1/5, he negotiated a 1/16.
It's of that 1/8. Does that make sense?
But why does the 1/8 even exist?
Because it's the 1/8 of the entire pooled.
So hang on, like with these facts, what is the royalty for 1?
Assuming there's a 1/8 royalty for it's 1/8 times 1/16.
But where's the 1/8 come from?
The pooled royalty. I mean, if they aren't pooled, then
Well, how do you know the pooled royalty? Does the lessor go back, or lessee go back to all of them, and
yeah,
they've negotiated another lease?
yeah, basically. So it's like a gamble. Ford loses money. He could have negotiated his own lease, but let's say you're in an area where it's uncertain that you like 3 is. Let's say there's nothing under three's land.
So
3 is winning.
right, but what I'm confused by, the way I understood it was that ABC has gone to each of these people individually and negotiated individual leases with all of them. Is that not how it happens?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But they've all negotiated different royalties.
Right. Of the whole royalty.
But where does the whole royalty come from?
The pooled lease. You get 4 gets 1/8 of 1/8, assuming there's the pooled royalty is 1/8.
But what I'm saying is, maybe it's coming out off. So, 2004, ABC.
Mhm.
Okay, or LP. And then in 01, 1, ABC, or 160. And then 02, 3, ABC, or 150. And then 03, got 2 to ABC, 160. So they've all done these at different times. And now in 04, ABC wants to pool. Is that not how it works? That's how I understood it.
Well, the thing is, I don't think they would be able to. The reason pooling comes up is because of spacing requirements. So you have to be so far from a certain tract from the correlative and conservation laws that like Railroad Commission set up.
Right.
And basically, this is how it would play in Arlington, where it's all like suburbs, right? We have all been really subdivided. There would be no way to drill if they didn't pool because they would be too close to other tracks.
Okay.
So the only way you can drill in places like Arlington is if you pool. So like, let's say there's
So you would never go to 3 on his own because if 3.
there's no way you could because
Right.
then 2 would be drilling like 2 feet away from you, literally.
Gotcha. So this scenario would not happen.
No, that's it. Yeah.
So
Well, maybe these are pretty big tracks. It looks like, but I mean, like Arlington, he explained it like there's a rig out at UTA, like on the campus, and there's people there who have pooled, like residents, suburb around there, and they're the ones who have like given the money to. They've pooled together because they wouldn't be getting anything if they don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think pooling comes up often because the spacing requirements, density.
Okay, that helps.
So I was going to tell you something else. So they can't be too close, and you know that 3 could be getting the good deal and 4 could be getting the raw deal. Because 4, maybe, assuming he had big enough space to drill, he would have gotten his 1/8 out of total production.
Right.
But it's kind of a gamble, so it's kind of increasing your probabilities. I'm trying to think what else is important. How did it come up? Like, how did we start talking about it? We're going to talk about it a little bit more.
Oh, on Monday?
Yeah.
All right, tell me again. I still don't, and I haven't studied it very much. Go over a few clauses with me.
So Q clause is, oh, this is key, this is vital. I should draw it out on the board. So you got your land over here. This is the top, right? Anyway, so let's say this is all your land. You negotiate this vertical Q clause, and like drilling can go here, and you have production in this area, but it may not count for production in this area over here. Likewise, you can do a Q clause over here, where they drill horizontal like Q clause, and they only get the minerals in this area, but not this area.
Okay.
So that's kind of how Q clause comes into play.
So how does a Q clause, does it work with pooling? Or no, not really.
You know what?
It seems like
it would get this specific area. You could get this specific area.
Yeah.
Another thing with pooling, I just remembered what I wanted to tell you. So like you can't gerrymander. Let's say this is like 600 or 800 tract. I think the limit is 640 in Texas. I don't think we're supposed to know that, but there's a limit. You're supposed to know there's a limit. So let's say there's like this tract, and that. They can't get it all, but what they do is they gerrymander. So that means they actually get all the tracks. But then we drill a test well right here, and then they get all the tracks. So it's like, what does this guy have to do over here? it's a test. It's kind of a balancing test to see if there was bad faith. The way they determined in the case that we read was there was a landman opinion. It was really bad. That said, oh, we could save all these tracts if we just did this type of lease. So he just gave it away in the letter. But usually, just doing this by itself doesn't imply that they're gerrymandering in bad faith. So, yeah. You need to know that. And then you were asking about the Pew clause. Darn it, I just understood Pew clause like a day ago, and it has something to do with timing. Bolton understands it pretty well, but she's doing her own thing right now. Actually, I think I have something good for Pew clause. I'm going to look real quick. All right, so Pew clause wasn't in the traditional lease, by the way. Just don't, I don't know. Oh, you're not looking there, but all right.
All right, I'm looking at the Pew clause.
Yeah, but it's not in that traditional lease on 161. Right?
So a Pew clause in your situation here
Yeah.
would say that, okay, yeah, you can pool and hold, hold a portion of all these different tracts, but you only get the portion, it doesn't hold the entire tract, it only holds the portion in that unit. That would be a vertical Pew clause.
Well, let me read to you what my definition is. A Pew clause modifies the usual pooling language to provide that drilling operations on or production from a pooled unit will not preserve the whole lease. So it only preserves that little area that was cut out.
Right.
Pew clause gives the lessee flexibility to make pooling decisions, but limits the effect of decisions to the portion of the lease included in the pool unit. Give the lessee the flexibility to make pooling decisions, but limits the effect of decisions to the portion of the lease included in the pooled unit. The lessor's royalty is proportionate to the amount of the lessor's property included in the unit, but unit operations do not affect the remainder of the lessor's land. Pew clause takes away much of the incentive that a lessee might otherwise have to try to hold large tracts of land. Okay, let me read you my definition about vertical Pew clause. Provides that any acreage from the surface down to the center of the earth in a lease that was not a part of the pooled unit goes back to the landowner after the primary term is over.
Yeah.
Okay. So you basically have to drill it and the other land in production and paying quantities. Horizontal is a depth sentence. Provides that all mineral acreage in the entire lease below the deepest formation drilled in a pooled unit go back to the landowner after the primary term is over. Okay. But you know what's interesting? Flip-flop those two. Let's say the top layer is what the horizontal guy owns. If you're going to go to the ones below there, don't you have to pass through his interest? And then vice versa. I mean, if the landowner owns the top.
Yeah, you just can't extract anything from that.
I guess you could do it horizontal.
strata.
But, I mean, because dominant estate theory, you have the right to...
Yeah, you have the right to ingress. And
Right,
egress.
right. Okay. I see. What do you want to go to now? Like implied covenants, maybe?
Sure.
Alrighty. Start from the beginning. So, 6 implied covenants in linear classification, only 5 in Texas. To test, to reasonably develop, to protect against drainage, to further explore not recognized in Texas, and to market and to operate properly.
Diligently and properly.
Yeah. What?
All right. What are the standards for implied covenants of market? Where they're not being violated.
Implied covenant to market? Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Oh, boy. My printer ran out. I'm gonna have to go to Kinko's to print out. I don't think I'll print out my outline. Maybe I will. I don't know. Kinko's pretty expensive, right? I know the printers downstairs are only 1 cent cheaper than them, so I think Kinko's is 11 cents a page. Here it's 10 cents. Isn't that great?
How much is that for like, you get 500 sheets in a pack, something like that?
Yeah.
You buy a thing of paper for 500 sheets.
Yeah, so you can get that for less than $5. But then you have to, the ink's what costs a lot. Yeah.
All right, so the standard is a regional prudent operator who endeavored to produce would seek a market within a reasonable period of time, and that's the prevailing rate. So if you're not seeking a market within a reasonable amount of time at the prevailing rate, then you violated the implied covenants of market. The violation of the implied covenant result in termination.
No, just damages. But breach of a condition does lead to the end of it. Wait, so what? I didn't find the duty to market thing, implied covenant to market. I don't have that in my. Darn it. What can you read to me what you had for breach of implied duty to market?
So, a reasonable prudent operator who endeavored to produce would seek a market within a reasonable period of time and at the prevailing rate. So if you don't do any one of those things,
Implied covenant to market at a good rate. And it's a duty of good faith, right? This is what I have. Lessee has drilled the well, and once drilled, implied duty to market, and a reasonable, prudent operator would seek a market as quickly as possible and get the highest rates as possible. What is the reasonable period of time? It's a fact question, and the jury decides. Damages, Texas before is monetary. Okay.
so okay, let's figure damages for breach. What would you use there? I guess you use fair market value. See, I could see him working this net back thing and all of that into one giant question.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, I think he could put everything in one question. I think he really could. That's alright. We'll be ready for it. What is the general implied covenant for a lessee? I mean, you have your to produce, to market, to be a reasonably prudent operator.
That's the general question.
Oh, okay. We need to get these at the drop of a pen, drop of a hat. So, to test, to reasonably develop, protect against drainage, market, and operate properly. Oh, that's cool. You're copying the answer.
What's the next one? Next implied covenant.
Yeah. To produce and to market. Um, to explore is not in Texas.
Yeah, but he said we need to know it.
To test, reasonably develop, protect against drainage. You want to discuss drainage? Okay. Well, I actually did have a question about drainage. I remember it was mentioned here in the book. Breach of warranty. Duhigg isn't that bad on a simple scale. Like, if there's one conveyance or three conveyances, you can figure it out.
Alright. Like public places and drainage. Alright. So, if you have two adjacent properties and you have a lease on property A, and somebody else starts drilling on property B, you have a duty to drill a well on property A to offset the drainage
Right, right.
by property B.
Oh, if they're draining, right?
Yeah.
That was this case, the Acoma versus Alexander.
I don't know.
Obligation to protect Alexander's property against field-wide drainage. In other words, implied covenant to protect against drainage. Yeah, because remember it was kind of a slanted shale or something.
Oh, was that the one where it was what do they call it? The water dome or something?
Yeah, the water dome.
Is that what it was called?
It looks like a water dome.
It was like,
Do you want to look at it?
it was like this, and it was, and so you had oil up here.
Right, because oil is more dense, right? So it rises to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was the guy's property over here. Right, and this was his property.
Right, and they were draining it.
And they were drilling here. And this was all under one lease, right?
Yeah,
Or
multiple.
all leased by the same company.
Yeah.
And he was saying, hey, I'm getting hosed, you're taking my oil. And this wasn't this paying higher? Like the royalty was less on this property or something like that?
Yeah, they were working it.
It's
Yeah.
an advantage to drill there instead
Yeah.
of down there.
Yeah.
Alright, what's the bonus?
That is consideration given for an oil and gas lease. Basically normal consideration. Hold up. I want to see how he defines it. Yeah. So in his appendix over here, a glossary, the bonus is the consideration, usually cash, paid to the mineral owner by lessee for execution of an oil and gas lease. The bonus of the execution of a lease may take other forms than cash. One form is called oil bonus or royalty bonus. It's pretty straightforward, right? NPRI carved out of the landowner royalty.
What's a royalty defined as in
Well, it comes from the Old English common law, in which the king was apportioned various interests in the land, and class hasn't even started yet. There was a good discussion about what royalties are in the book. Yeah. That was the most interesting part of the book I read, the history of royalties.
portion of production less the cost of production.
I'm just kidding. It was all very interesting. Okay, here's what I got. The landowner's share of production free of expenses of production. You know, I will say this has been one of the most interesting classes, though. It's really opened up a lot of eyes. Opening. Operations clause. That's the part in the lease if prior to discovery and production of oil and gas or other minerals on said land or on acreage pooled therewith, the lessee should drill a dry hole or holes thereon. Operations clause is basically you need to get going within a certain time, right? Yeah, okay, so that's where the savings events. So you got your shut-in clause, cessation of production, pooling clause. What else? Cessation of production, force majeure. Well, no, force majeure would be elsewhere. Dry hole clause. So the savings events are dry hole, temporary cessation of production, or any cessation of production if it's spelled out in the lease. Shut in, dry hole, engaged in operations, and force majeure. And that's it, so far as we know. Good faith and bad faith? Oh, surface and under, dry hole, wet hole trespass, dry hole trespass, geophysical trespass. So 3 types? Ordinary, slant well drilling, yeah. Well, I don't know about hydraulic fracturing is a trespass, but it's not actionable. Well, actually, we should qualify that, though. Hydraulic fracturing, if it comes into your land, that's trespass, but by itself, it's not. It's the fissures that it creates that are trespass. That's not trespass, chattel. Have we seen this? So that's basically royalty based on market value is calculating in the netbacks for production.
Or what are the other two?
Amount realized or point of sale.
2 other ways to determine market value.
Point of sale? Amount realized?
Direct sales at the well.
Direct sales at the well.
Comparable sales at other wells in the area.
Comparable sales in the area. I'll write that down. Hold up. Oh, can you go back or? It was royalty based on market value. I'll find it in my notes. Doctrine of relation back, I just saw that flashcard, is in adverse possession you go to see if the royalty, if the land had been severed prior to the beginning of the adverse possession. It had been severed, you need continuous production, right? Continuous production in paying quantities. And the echo elements, exclusive, continuous, hostile, open, and notorious, plus standing. So it's echo plus standing. Oh man, that was the first thing, well, it was the second thing in property, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah. Who did you have for property? Oh yeah, so did I. Yeah, but I think he was teaching it at day and night. You took it spring semester 2013? Yeah, spring semester 2014. Wow, he was teaching it twice. I guess he's pretty good.
I thought so. He's probably the best teacher I've had here. Like pure teacher.
Really?
Just like not just reading his books like most of them do.
Is that what other ones do? Really?
When at Texas pre-trial, we literally read the book in class. We read the book before class.
When's your final for that? Oh wow, so that's pretty good, right? You can get oil and gas out of the way. Is it in the morning? Oh, that's better. Did you well, just mess up your sleep schedule. You can't do that, right? 'Cause you have a family. You can't mess up your sleep schedule. Yeah, yeah.
I got enough people buying to mess up my
Yeah. All right, what are we doing now? Pew clause? Dry hole clause savings event. Extra time to drill a second well. How many times can you drill another well? I think he mentioned it once. Said you can't do it too much.
I would guess until the primary.
Delay rental clause is it continues the primary term, extends the primary term if production hasn't started. Could you? Oh, wait, so you have to pay delay rental clause. If you don't, can you rely on a savings provision?
I think the savings provisions don't kick in until the secondary term.
Right. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah. I think we have this lease pretty well down. Yeah, savings clauses are only in secondary term. So primary term, you either drill or you pay delay rental. Delay rental will stay out for a time, but
That only keeps you going in the primary term.
yeah, but only so long. Once you pay that last delay rental, you either need to start production or do a savings clause. What's the difference between lessor and lessee in action for trespass? So, lessor, well, lessee can have like that dry hole, wet hole, slant hole or slant drill, hydraulic fracture fissures. Um,
Now, I think it's more like lessor can get any damages are equal to lost royalties, bonus, and rentals. The lessee would get whatever production is at that time. I think that's the bonus.
oh, okay. So for good faith, the lessor gets the like royalties and product, well, like what's been produced, right? And minus production costs. And for bad faith, he gets royalties and production and everything plus no.
I think you're getting the two. lessor, they don't pay for production anyway. They don't pay production costs anyway. So lessor is only going to get the royalties they would do.
Right.
The lessee who is trespassed, that's where the conversion remedies come in. That mild rule and harsh rule is for conversion.
Yeah.
So if somebody comes in and trespasses while the lessee has it under lease and extracts those minerals, he's going to get the value of the minerals produced, if it's a good faith trespasser, the value of the minerals produced minus the trespasser's production cost.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Bad faith trespasser, he's going to get the value of those minerals produced.
Okay.
And then the lessor in that situation would get whatever royalties he would have gotten on that production that the trespasser made.
Okay. You think we'll be asked that?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I don't know if we'll get into that exactly. I think we definitely need to know.
Good faith and.
The first several weeks, he kept talking about what's the remedy, how do you calculate the remedies. I mean, like, he did that over and over and over again. So I think, and he said he loves testing trespass.
Yeah.
So we just need to be prepared for that.
The drilling. Okay. Trespasser act in good faith. Mineral owner entitled to production, but equity will permit good faith trespasser to recover the cost of drilling and operating the well from the proceeds derived from the sale of production. Harsh rule is trespassers not recover any costs, and mineral owner entitled to fair market value of the minerals produced, calculated at the time. Oh, and then good faith, bad faith is a question of fact. Okay, so this is how I envision it. All right, let's say it costs or let's say it costs like $25 to set up, right? Like that's production costs. Plus, and then they get $75 from the production, right? So that's like 100. No, don't have it. Okay. And then so for good faith trespasser, it's 75 what's been produced minus 25. The guy gets 50. The person who's been trespassed upon. 70, and then if it's bad faith, then the person who's been trespassed again gets 75 plus 25, which is 100. This is 50.
So if the question says, so A leases to B.
Yeah.
For a 1/8 royalty.
A leases to B.
For a 1/8 royalty.
Yeah.
C trespasses on the property and extracts $100,000 worth of oil with $50,000 worth of production costs.
Right.
What do A and B get?
Wait, can you repeat the facts?
Yeah. Yeah, 100,000. Okay. There's your facts.
Okay. A leases to B. The C trespasses on property with color of title, so that's good faith. 100,000 extracted, 50,000 expenses. Good faith. He gets to keep 50,000 for expenses, and so A get. Oh, but then you have to divide it, right? Oh, dang. Oh boy. Well, I guess I would say so. 150. Okay, so A gets so. Before we get into A and B, so what he needs to give back is 50,000. So you just divide it amongst the. Oh no, but you don't. Okay, so does B have a 1/8 royalty, or is that what A reserves?
Hey,
Okay, so A reserves a 1/8 royalty. So B gets 7/8 of that 50K, and A gets 1/8 of it. Yeah. Well, let's say he trespassed without color of a title. Then it's 100K, and they just divide it the same way, right? Or are expenses not considered part of the royalty, and just A would get that 50K from expenses. So you'd get 50K 1/8 for A, 7/8 50K because that's what it was extracted, and then that other 50K in expenses would just go to A. What do you think? Write both, just to be safe.
no, I think no, I don't think you attribute, no, I think you just split the 100.
Okay, you split the 100.
All right, this is a good question.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I have the elements here. Elements of partition must be co-tenants, must have possessory interest, and so royalty owners don't count. Must have estates of equal dignity, doesn't equal quantity, but it's the same interest. A mineral interest can compel mineral interest, and must be common ownership throughout the tract seeking partition.
You can't have a surface owner and a
Right, that's not equal dignity. Yeah. So must be co-tenants, possessory interest, equal dignity, and common ownership throughout the tract.